today talk about international payments. This is a sexy part of the game industry, right? Getting paid. I will let the Pioneer start the introduction about what the company does and how is that significant for your business.
Sure. Thanks, Eve. Hi, everybody. My name is Saurabh. I'm a part of Pioneer. We are an international fintech where essentially we help all the app developers and game developers in getting their international payments from, let's say, other countries to India. Or if you have any corporate entities outside of India, we help you in remitting your funds from one entity to another entity. That's what we specialize in.
So just to clarify, how are you different than regular banks and the wire transfers? Can you talk about that?
Yes, thanks. That's actually a good question. So we compete with banks in a lot of ways, and yet we work with banks in, again, a lot of ways. Let me first explain to you how we are different from a bank. So if there is any app developer or game developer here, and let's say you've got to bring your funds from one of your clients from US or Canada, one common way is that you share your bank account details and your client would do a bank wire transfer to you, right? Now, typically, it's a bank's limitation that they only offer wire bank transfers. Pioneer offers you wire transfers. We also enable you to take local payments. So we offer 12 plus virtual accounts across different countries. Essentially, if your customer is in the US, they can make a local payment to you. We will remit that fund from that country to India, and we will deposit this money in your bank account. So we don't replace your bank in any manner, but we essentially enable you to accept funds in a much more varied manner of accepting. Plus, we also allow you to accept payments through debit cards and credit cards. So now you're not limited by the bank's limitation, but rather now you can accept money in whichever way your customer wants.
So do you work with banks? How does it work if you have for example, the studio have its own bank and the vendor has their own banks? How does that work?
Yes. So essentially, the entire global network of payments is routed through banks. We are a licensed entity in India. In fact, in every country that we operate in, we take a license from that country's central bank. And we work in tandem with the banks that are present in that country. To give you an example, in India, they are called as AD Category 1 banks who can remit these funds. So we work with these banks. Now, these banks work at the back end, and we work at the front end. So we act as a technology layer between our customers and the banks, and we improve the UI UX, the customer experience for the customer, at the same time making it faster for you to get those payments. So at the back end, we've got banks, but we provide you a technology layer which essentially makes your experience better.
Well, that's great, but how about the fees? I know that's what everybody's thinking right now.
Again, a very, very relevant question. So let's talk about the fee, and I'll just break it into two parts. One is the fee that's levied on you as an end user, and second is the overall fee that you pay on a certain transaction. Now, if you, again, let's take an example of any app developer sitting here, and if you have a customer sitting in US or Canada or Australia or wherever, whichever country. So let's say you have to take a payment of $10,000 from your customer, and they want to make a payment to you. Scenario number one, when you have a bank, in that case, typically what will happen is your customer will remit or do a wire transaction to you. Now, bank charges typically $40, $45 for that wire transaction. That money comes to you in India. Bank does the conversion for you on the bank rate, which is the buy rate and the sell rate. Bank will do a conversion. They will apply a small convenience fee and a GST component on that. So overall, when you look at this transaction, the gross fee that you pay would be roughly at about 2.5%, 3.5%, or maybe in some cases slightly more also. Now, if you were to remit the same fund using Pioneer, the biggest advantage that you will have is one, there is no wire fee because we offer you local virtual accounts. Second, when this money comes to you in India, we are very transparent when it comes to the conversion rate. We offer you the mid-market rate. The rates that we give to you can be cross-verified across xe.com, reuters.com, Money Control, whichever platform you want to use. And we charge a 1% markup on that, and we give this money back to you. So it's lesser fee for you, lesser fee for your customer, faster total TAT for the transaction, and improved experience for both you and your customer. And I'll just add one more thing on that. When this transaction is completed, at the end of the transaction, we also give you the foreign inward remittance advice, which is the FIRA, which essentially you would require at the time of your tax filing. So we also take care of your compliances.
That's great. So, but how do I convince my vendors to pay via this versus what they're used to, the wire transfer? Can you give an example how to make a wire transfer, say, from the US?
Yes, yes, I can. Okay. Let's take this example. Again, standard $10,000, somebody has to pay from US. Uh, with bank, you're offering a bank wire option to your customer. With Payoneer, you're asking the customer, how does your customer want to pay? Does your customer want to make a local payment? Does your customer want to make a debit card or a credit card payment? Or does your customer want to make a wire payment? So essentially, whatever a bank can do, Payoneer can do that and more. So now, let's take this example of $10,000 of a wire transaction coming from US. Your end customer does a wire transaction to his bank. There is an intermediary bank that comes in the picture, and the money is received by your bank in India. Your bank does the conversion, puts the money in your bank account, current bank account or savings account, right?
I'm curious, how do they get to the intermediate to you from their bank? Do they need to download your app? How does it work?
Nothing at all. So in every country that we operate in, we will give you standard bank account details, and these bank account details would be with our banking partners, probably Citibank or Standard Chartered or Mashreq or Bank of America, any of these banks. Your customer does not need to download Payoneer application. Your customer does not need to do any sign up. They don't need to get onboarded on Payoneer in any manner. They can simply log in onto their own net banking system, make a payment from there, and this money will come to you. So we act as an interface, but it's not mandatory for both parties to have Payoneer.
But the receiving end need to have the Payoneer.
Yes, yes. As a customer, you will need to sign up on Payoneer and use Payoneer to avail these services and to get these benefits.
Great. So I do want to ask how secure it is, and is it insured? How is this different? Is this has the same protection as regular bank wire transfer, or is there additional coverage? Can you talk about that?
Absolutely. So from a US perspective, all our bank accounts are FIDC insured, up to $250,000 per account. From a payment gateway perspective, we are PCI DSS level 1 compliant. From a regulatory point of view, we have both OP GSP license, and as well as that, we have the cross-border license of RBI to operate. Plus, like I earlier mentioned, in every country we operate in, we take the central bank's license. So we are fully regulated, we are fully compliant, and we issue all the post-transaction documents to every single customer that operates through Payoneer.
So you said that you're faster than wire transfer. Can you talk about, say, for example, if you make a wire transfer from the outside of India, how soon does it expect to be processed and hit the studio end bank account?
Sure, sure. So if you're an app developer and you want to take some money from your end customer who's in the US, they will remit it through their bank. You will typically get it in 2-3 days or 3 days. With Payoneer, you simply get it in T+1. So if let's say today the transaction is made, within a day or at max 2, if let's say the sender bank has delayed it by a bit, at maximum 2 days, the money will come to you in your Indian bank account. Also, if it's a card payment, the money will start reflecting on your dashboard within a few minutes. So that's the speed at which we operate it.
That's great. So what happens when you need help? Because this is an intermediary bank, and if I don't understand what's happening or I need to talk to someone, how's the customer service?
Yes, yes. Let me break this again into 2 parts. The first is the focus, and second is the ability. From a focus point of view, we are very much focused on app developers and game developers. In fact, we are the only player in the entire fintech banking industry who's present at this event. Last year, this year, we're the only financial technology company who's here. We are really focused on app developers. We're focused on game developers. Even if you're developing a player or an NPC, whatever you're developing or wherever you have a customer who has to pay from outside, we are there for you. In India, and now I'll come to the second part. In India, we've got our own ops team. We've got our own account management team. We've got our own business team. So any issue that you face for any of the payments coming from outside of India, you will have a person you can talk to. I mean, typically, let's say if you have a US bank account or any other bank account, you would probably be raising a ticket on their platform or on their dashboard, and you would be automated via emails, right? Which would typically have a TAT of 2 to 3 working days. In case of Payoneer, you have somebody in India who you can talk to. You have direct email accesses, you have direct phone accesses to ops teams. So essentially, it's much easier for you to trace your transaction and to get any error rectification done Any problem that you face, we've got people who will help you out in India.
So, for example, sometimes I know that money has to hit the account for accounting purposes, for tax filing purposes. So, what happens if you need a payment by a specific date and it's over a weekend? How does that impact the payment processing time?
Yes, yes. So let's take a corner case where essentially the payment was done by your customer on a Friday evening. Okay, and typically banks would not process the transactions on Saturday and Sunday. In this case, let's say if your customer processes this transaction on Friday evening, their bank would clear it on Monday morning, and by Monday evening, if the funds come to Payoneer, generally they come on the same day, in that case over a weekend, by Tuesday the fund will be deposited in your bank account. So typically, again, the timelines would remain as T+1, but excluding public holidays. If there is a Saturday, Sunday, or a Christmas holiday or any other holiday, it would obviously get delayed by that particular day, but not beyond that.
So what if I want to pay someone from India to a vendor outside of India? Is that possible?
So not yet. If you have an Indian entity, paying out is restricted by RBI. It's a very challenging route, but if at all you have any entity outside of India, whether in Dubai or Singapore or US or any other country, you can hold funds, you can make payments to your vendors, you can have access to Forex multi-currency cards, you can do mass payouts, you can do whatever you want. It's only, the only unfortunate thing with India is that RBI is very strict with when it comes to paying out. So that's the only challenge we also have. But other than that, any payment that you have to do outside of India, you're free to do it.
Cool. So do you take a fee from people who download Payoneer in India, or it's only the payer that pays the 1%?
Yes. So we don't charge any fee at the time of sign up. There is no account opening fee. There is no monthly maintenance charge, quarterly charge, or annual charge. There is no minimum balance requirement at all. We would not charge from you until you transact. So it's a model where only when you transact is when we will charge. Opening an account, having that account, it's completely free. Completely, for as long as you want to hold them, that account, we would not charge. It's not like that after 3 months we'll start charging you something, or after 6 months we'll charge something. No. It's our commitment to the entire audience that we have, that our accounting services, our banking services have always been free, and they would continue to be free. We would only charge when you transact. And even on the second point, where essentially does the payer have to pay anything? So your payer also does not need to pay anything, unlike banks where they would have to pay that wire fee of $40, $45. In Payoneer, the payer does not need to pay. Only when you're receiving funds, there is a currency conversion charge, and that's it. There is no...
What is the currency conversion charge? What is the percentage?
Yes. So currency conversion charge would be anywhere between 1 to 2%. And that will be the only charge and the gross charge that will be levied on you. Other than that, there is no service charge, there is no convenience fee, there is no GST, there is no other possible tax or any other charge. And in terms of transparency, again, unlike banks, so banks typically operate on an interbank rate, which would have a buy rate and a sell rate. What it means is that there is already a margin built in, and on top of that, bank charges a certain margin at a branch level. Whereas in our case, we would give you this currency conversion on the mid-market rate. So today on xe.com or Reuters or whichever platform you are using, if let's say the dollar rate today is 82.51, then we would do the conversion on 82.51 and not on 82.3 or 82.2 or anything.
That's great. I actually wish I knew that, because I've been paying $45 per transaction for every wire transfer that was made. So this is specifically for tech companies, or is it just for every business that's out there? I mean, I know that we're in a gaming conference. Most of us are gaming related, but say someone has an audio company, someone has a hardware company, they obviously can use this as well. Is that correct?
Yes, yes, that's again a very good question. So India is one of our focus markets. It's been growing really fast for us for the last 5-7 years. Within India, this category of app development, game development is again one of the focus categories for us. Why? Because again, this has been growing at a tremendous rate over the last 2, 3, 4 years, especially after the COVID. Having said that, we are not limited to only app development companies or game development companies. If you're in the hardware category or any other category or software services category, or even e-commerce categories, whatever business category you are in, we would be able to support you across different categories, irrespective of which city you are in, which state you are in. We can provide you our services, entire onboarding at our end, the entire sign up, everything is completely virtual. You don't need to visit any branch for physical verification. You don't need to do anything physically anywhere. You just sign up, speak to somebody at Payoneer, get your account started. Account starting takes about just a day or 2 days. Get your account started and start transacting. So whichever business category you are in, whatever business you are in, we're very happy to serve you across different industries and categories.
So I'm going to ask something blunt. Is there other competitors that's doing similar things you are, and how are you different from them?
Yes, yes. In fact, this is a very interesting space to be in right now. Cross-border payments, especially next year, PACB licenses are coming from RBI. So essentially, RBI has introduced something called as Payment Aggregator Cross-Border License, which has to be filed, I think, till 1st of April next year. So on 1st of April, the applications would be submitted, and anybody who wants to be a service provider in the cross-border space, in the international payments space, would have to take a separate license from RBI now. We've already filed for that. Some of our competitors are also filing for that license. I think the only difference would come in terms of the focus areas between us and our competitors. And I'll give you a couple of examples of that. First is in terms of focus on the Indian market. There are a lot of international payment gateway companies, some of them very famous, probably you would already know the names, who were present in the Indian market, but they have sort of gone out from the market. They have phased out themselves, and they're trying to focus on more developed markets right now. So they're not present in India anymore. That's first category of the businesses. Second category of other fintech players in this market are the ones which are still not focusing so much on the app developers and game developers. And when I say they're not focusing, what it also means is that they would have to undergo their own learning curve in terms of how does an app development company operates or how does a gaming company operate, right? You would have to explain to the compliances that, okay, this is a gaming company and why the payment should be allowed, right? You would have to do a lot of things with the gaming company and the app development companies. Fortunately, we've been in this space for quite some time, and therefore we've got our own learning curve with app developers, game developers. So one, we are ahead in terms of other fintechs, in terms of specifically this market. Second, in terms of focus, like I said, right? IGDC, biggest event across India, where possibly all the largest emerging gaming companies would come up, all the app development companies would come up. And we are very happy to be a part here to show our commitment to our folks here that we are present in this category and we are here for a long term.
So in gamer speak, your differentiators that you have good customer service that's dedicated to this demographic.
Yes, yes. We've got an entire ops team sitting in Bangalore who are looking after all the ops issues and who understand Indian customers and who understand Indian payment systems also. I mean, to give you a comparative example between somebody from a customer in India and a customer in Australia, a customer in Australia probably would have hundreds of emails and hundreds of invoices around a single payment, whereas customers in India probably would have one invoice and one supporting document. Now, in order to get it cleared from compliances, as business folks, we push the compliances to accept those documents. We understand that this is how a startup would operate, right? If there is one person or a couple of people in the entire company who are looking after finance, we understand they can't deep dive into this issue, and that's why we are there to understand and again deep dive on their part, so that our partners, our customers can focus on their business and we can solve the payment problems for them.
Okay, so we're coming to an end, so I want to recap. There is no need for whoever's using the service to pay an Indian vendor, and
yes.
There's no cost to them. There's no
Yes.
wire transfer fee.
Correct.
And the only fee that will occur is when it hits the Indian recipient, the currency conversion rate, which is between 1% to 2%.
Absolutely.
And the recipient need to download your app to establish an account ahead of time. Is that correct?
Yes. They can download the application. They can also start straight away, go to the laptops and systems and straight away go to our website and get themselves registered, sign up. Sign up process takes about 15 minutes. Once they've signed up, it takes about 1 day or half a day for our compliances teams to look at the documents, approve all the documents, and next day onwards, they can start using it. It's very simple, very fast, and easy to use.
So you say you're Indian focus. For example, I'm established in the US. Can I use this as well?
Absolutely, absolutely. We support 190 countries as of now. So in whichever country you are present, you can still use Payoneer services across the world.
And the same fees scheme and the same time processing
Yes,
time?
yes, yes.
Okay.
This is the beauty of Payoneer. Our charges, because they are mid-market rates, you will find the same charges in India, Africa, US, Australia, Europe, UK, wherever. Across, irrespective of which country you are searching the charges from, irrespective whichever place you are based out of, you will always have the transparency of getting the mid-market rate always. And wherever you are, in whichever country you are, or your customer is, they can make payment to you. If you have Payoneer, you can accept payment across 190 countries.
Okay, so again, I'm very blunt. Since this sounds so good, too good to be true, how are you making money off of this operation?
Yeah.
Are you just purely taking a percentage of the currency conversion rate? How does it work?
Yeah, yeah. No, happy to share our revenue model with you. So essentially, when we talk to a particular customer, let's say if you are doing $10,000 or somebody is doing $20,000, it would not look very big. But we are doing this at a global scale. We processed about $70 billion last year, and we're going to process about $95 billion this year. Now, on this volume, even let's say our net margins are 0.1 or 0.2%, that's enough money for us to be a cash-rich company, sustain our workforces, spend on our customers, do a lot of things. Also,
attend IGDC.
Attend IGDC, sponsor IGDC, yes. We can do all of that. Also, one very good thing about us is that we are also NASDAQ listed. So essentially, all our details are publicly available. All our financial documents are publicly available. You can view our incorporation documents. You can view our financial documents. Everything is available. Our ticker on NASDAQ is PAYO. And we are currently trading on NASDAQ. We got listed 3 years back in 2020, 21 is when we got listed. Ever since then, we've been there, and